Writing is a crucial skill for preschoolers. It lays foundation for effective communication and cognitive development. When you introduce writing at the earlier stages, it helps children to refine their fine motor skills. It helps them to have a better hand-eye coordination and also gains a good hand strength. Hi everyone, I'm Divya and I'm very thrilled to extend my warm wishes and welcoming all of you for today's super exciting session. And today we are learning on our first Montessori writing tool, and that's called the sandpaper letter. People call as sandpaper letters or sandy alphabet, sandy letters, whatever it is. This is one of the fascinating material which becomes one of the key player in our Montessori writing tools. Okay, so if you're new here, let me introduce myself. So my name is Divya, as I said. I would be your Montessori coach, a teacher trainer, and a primary lead guide. I work for two organizations. We run a preschool called Train Brain and an institute, teacher training institute called International Montessori Teacher Training. Okay. So if you would like to catch up with more lessons on Montessori lessons, this is the right place. You can hit on the subscribe button, give our lesson a thumbs up, and don't forget to share the goodness with others. You won't want them to miss out. So let's get started with our today's session. So that's our sandpaper letters. So what are sandpaper letters? So in our Montessori education, we use this material in our classroom, and these letters or these material, they're tactile. When I say tactile, you can give those sandpaper letters and the child will be able to trace on those letters, right? So that becomes an awesome adventure for all of them to learn. Now, the child is not only learning about the letter, the child is also being introduced to the shape of the letter. So every time that you're introducing the shape of a letter, we are reinforcing on the graphical representation of how a letter looks like. The more you ask the child to trace using their finger muscles, so that's when the tactility comes down, and that's how the sensory education takes place. So in brief, I can say sandpaper letters help children develop the pre-writing skill. It helps them to work on letter recognition and the sound, that is the phonemic awareness. So let's see what it takes for all of us to work on. So how does the material look like? So this is how the material looks like, okay? So there are 26 letters. You should have got the glimpse of those letters. You will see that the vowels are in color blue and consonants are in color pink. So this is very simple. So you have 26 letters and all of them being sorted. Now, can you take a look? Some of the letters are tall, some of the letters are small, depending upon the size of the letters also, the boards can actually change. So this is one versatility that the materials can actually have. In some of the sandpaper letters, we don't see this. So all of them are of the same size. They're equally the same thing. But what you have to be working is on how do you present and how do you rightfully use this exercise in your classes. So every time that you use this material, you should always remember about 3-period lesson. So if you don't know about 3-period lesson, the first 3-period is like you break one lesson into 3 parts. The first period is called the naming period. That is where you do it in isolation. So one letter at a time, you show the child how to trace that letter. You tell them what is the name of it, what is the sound of it. So this is your first period lesson. So every time you introduce this, you have to make sure that the child is in a very calm and a very inviting environment because you are introducing it for the very first time, correct? So in your dedicated tray, what you need to keep, it's always important to present the lesson also. So you need to have your presentation tray wherein I would keep my letter, which is neatly arranged. Then I can have group of letters in a simple words I can also have so that the child will be able to recognize where that letter is all about. Now I introduce how to trace that letter using 2 of my fingers. So this is all done. Next, what do? I work on the presentation, correct? So this is related to my tactile exploration. So I choose one letter. Okay. So I tell them, I show children how to trace the letter. Every time that the child is tracing the letter, the child is getting an identification of what is the shape of that letter. And each time you can also say the sound of the letter. Say, for example, it is letter E. I say the sound of letter E is F. So you encourage the child also to touch that letter with the fingertips. Now, every time that the child is touching that letter with the fingertips, they're able to feel the texture of that sandpaper. And the texture of the sandpaper is rough. So the child gets that experience. It helps them to reinforce the motor memory of that particular letter shape. Okay. Now the child learned. Now what do? They have mastered doing this letter. I can bring in now my sand tray. Right. So you demonstrate showing with two of the fingers. You ask the child to trace on the card. That is a sandpaper letter. Now you ask them to trace on your sandpaper tray. Every time you do that, the drill is going to be the same. This is letter A. The sound of the letter A is A, as in apple. You're not going here on the short vowel and the long vowel sounds. You will only talk about one vowel sounds. Now you do your second period lesson. And in second period lesson, you bring more letters. Okay. So, and you would introduce the same thing. This is A, this is B, this is C. Can you show me where is letter A? Can you show me where is letter B? Can you show me where is letter C? Or you can ask questions like, what letter makes the sound K? What letter makes the sound A? And the child should be able to show. That's your second period. What's your third period? When I ask, what letter is this? The child should be able to say, ma'am, this is letter A. This is letter B. This is letter C. So that's your third period. Okay. So whenever you work on your presentation, you have to remember sandpaper letters are generally introduced to introduce writing for children. It is helping them to work on their muscle memory. The more you give children to trace, they serve as a precursor to writing. Okay, so you are working on letter shapes, you're reinforcing the sounds, you're preparing the child to work for an actual tracing, correct? So this is all important. So you can work on your sandpaper trace. So now we understood what is the purpose. Just to give a good preparation for writing, we use this particular letters. And also remember, vowels are in color blue and consonants are in color pink. So this also gives our children to work on the visual learning. So overall, I could say sandpaper letter engages the sense of touch, sight and sound, and it creates a multi-sensory learning experience for our children and a wonderful Montessori approach. It's a great hands-on exercise. It's a great learning tool to keep our children interactive in our classes, wherein we help them to connect the letter shapes to their corresponding sounds, and it helps us to work on laying a great foundation for reading and writing our skills. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the sandpaper letters, because sandpaper letters, I could say it's a ticket to an awesome adventure in learning the letters and their letter sounds. Isn't that cool, right? So we can always say that why vowels are in a different color. We can also say that vowels are in different colors because they're very special. And why they're very special, we will learn it in the other classes. So you can always put children onto those particular learnings, okay? And you can give them a great hands-on exercise on that. So that's it for today's exercise. I hope you had great time in understanding what is sandpaper letter in its own awesome way. And it is really, really great to get connected with all of you. And thanks for watching. If you're very new to our channel, I would request you can go and subscribe if it is helping you in any of your learnings or introducing lessons to your children. Or in case if these lessons are being helpful, spread the joy, share this video with your fellow teachers or parents or anyone who loves learning in cool ways. Together, let's make the world a more fun and a knowledgeable place. Thanks a million. Keep watching, keep learning. I'll see you in the next class.